I heard that nails were so expensive they burned down houses just for the nails.
Wow.
Hi, I'm Calvin. I'm one of our blacksmiths out here at Jamestown Settlement. There are a lot of historic myths that we hear frequently out here, and one that we hear a great deal is that nails were so incredibly expensive that people would burn their house down just to get the nails back when they moved. And like all myths, there is a grain of truth in it. This myth seems to come from a part of a law passed by the Virginia Assembly in 1645. The governor, council, and burgesses of this present Grand Assembly, having maturely weighed and considered the extreme prejudice which will necessarily ensue to the colony by deserting of plantations which are now ceded, or since the 20th of November last have been ceded, have enacted, and by the authority of the same be it enacted, that it shall not be lawful for any person holding land by patent, or whoso hath held land since the 20th of November last, voluntarily to leave the same upon penalty of forfeiture thereof, so as it may be lawful for any person whatsoever to take up the same by patent as land deserted, and if any leasee shall in like sort voluntarily relinquish land leased to him, it shall be lawful for any person to enter upon the same and have the benefit thereof, unless the patentee will seat or cause the same to be seated, provided that he that hath the patent of the land so deserted by the proprietor, or enters upon any leased lands, do forthwith seat the same with a competent number of men, arms, and ammunition. And it is further enacted by the authority aforesaid that it shall not be lawful for any person so deserting his plantation as aforesaid to burn any necessary housing that are situated thereupon, but shall receive so many nails as may be computed by two indifferent men were expended about the building thereof for full satisfaction, reserving to the king all such rent as did accrue by virtue of the former grants or planting of the same from the expiration of the first 7 years. The second part of the law is where that myth seems to stem from, but before getting into that, I want to give some context to the value of nails in the mid-17th century. Most items in the 17th century would be produced by a specialized laborer. In Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations from 1776, he wrote, "A smith who has been accustomed to make nails, but whose sole purpose or principal business has not been that of a nailer, can seldom with his utmost diligence make more than 800 or 1,000 nails in a day. I have seen several boys under 20 years of age who had never exercised any other trade but that of making nails, and who, when they exerted themselves, could make each of them upwards of 2,300 nails in a day. Nails were often produced by teenage boys from poor families working in a shop as exploited labor. Nail prices in the 17th century are very difficult to nail down, however, and should be taken with a grain of salt due to the lack of surviving documentation. In John Smith's list of necessaries for Virginia, he lists nails of all sorts to the value of £2 sterling amongst his recommended tools for a family of 6 persons to be brought to Virginia. UC Davis professor and historian Gregory Clark compiled information on buying power going back to about the year 1200, and in 1645 he listed the price of nails at about 4.3 pence per pound of nails. What I have here is a pound of 2.5-inch nails for a sense of scale. At that rate, £2 sterling worth comes out to a little over 110 pounds of nails, or a little over 6,000 2.5-inch nails. Our governor's house required 5,000 nails, and the church required 2,500 nails. In 17th century Virginia, home construction had gradually shifted from a typical timber frame construction with a wattle and daub infill to that of clapboard cladding, construction that used an even greater number of nails. The housing itself, though, was of low enough quality that the nails would often be the most valuable item left in the construction, but not necessarily valuable. When abandoning property, these landowners were probably taking what they could with them. However, they would likely get many unusable nails after burning homes due to the method in which many nails were used, by clinching the nails like staples, or because the nails were simply twisted and bent in the burning of the structure. The Virginia Assembly incentivized leaving the building standing so the land or housing could be given to someone else. That they would get two indifferent men to calculate the number of nails in the construction, and colonial authorities would give the individual leaving the land the calculated quantity of nails. The law had far less to do with the burning of homes because nails were so expensive, and far more to do with the practice of abandoning plantations. So while people may have burned houses and taken the nails, it was less the value of the nails and more the effort of those individuals to take what money they could with them when they abandoned property. The Virginia Assembly hoped to prevent the burning of needed housing by giving nails out. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below.